Well, thank you very much for joining us. We're really excited to show you what we've been working on. My name is Billy Rice. Obviously, Jay and Dr. Christie helped us a ton with this project, and we wanted to shout out our faculty advisor, Dr. Ona Shreff, too, who was, again, very helpful. So without a further ado, as I said, we're really excited to jump into this. And if you could, please save all questions until the end. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. So I'm going to just be talking about a little bit of why we are here today. Currently, within Aurora Flight Sciences, they're using a data manual entry approach when it comes to tracking the production process. And specifically within that, in the industry, if you can move on to the next slide, I'll be doing a little bit of a context analysis. Within the aviation industry specifically, there's been constant technology emerging. And with that, knowing that, there's been a way that companies have been trying to think and learn about data and understanding it. And as a top competitor within the industry, it's vital that they definitely grow alongside of that. And we'll move on to the next slide. With that, keeping that in mind, we came up with a proposed system for Aurora Flight Sciences to be able to better the production process by able to track, identify, and give feedback. With tracking, we want to track comparable operations. So within the industry, understanding within their current production process, what may be going right, what may be causing delays, and how can we make it better? By making it better, we want to be able to identify critical patterns and understanding basically what certain parts may be causing those delays, and to be able to give feedback and understanding those crucial parts within the production process, we'd be able to give feedback to Aurora Flight Sciences by improving production planning and giving them feedback on where things may be causing hindrances. But I will be passing off to Curtis, who will be talking a little bit more about the project scope.
Meredith? So looking at our overview, with this project, what we really wanted to do was save, build, analyze, and automate. We wanted to identify how we could cut our clients' costs by building a tool that will identify and analyze inefficiencies related to machine idle time or material waste. And then finally, is this thing working? Finally, automate that into something that our client can use at the simple click of a button. Now, moving on to our project objectives. Our first step in this project was to identify the key information that would give us the best understanding of our data. And this step was going to play a vital role in our next objective, which was linking all 5 of the data sets together. This was an extremely iterative process for us, and Billy's actually going to go more in depth as far as the steps that we took to get everything merged. But now that we do have all the data connected, it's fully prepared for an in-depth analysis to be ran and identify any trends with current inefficiencies. Now, looking at some of our project's benefits, as I mentioned, one of our main benefits is cost reduction. Now that we do have all the data connected, our client has the capability of identifying where specifically within their production process things may not be operating as efficiently as possible. Next, competitive advantage. We know that Aurora is very highly regarded when it comes to the aircraft manufacturing. We believe that their with us is a way for them to not only uphold that reputation, but build upon it as well as data becomes more prevalent within the industry. And finally, improve scheduling. Having worked with the data over the last several months, something that came to our attention was a lack of structure when it comes to how information is stored. And we believe our tool is a great first step in the right direction. I'll be passing off to Asher, who will go over understanding.
Thank you so much for this. Yes, once we had established the context, understood the problem, set our project objectives, it was important to dive in and understand the data. In order to do this, we started with a bit of an exploratory analysis with the information that we had available. We wanted to find important distributions, identify any missing values, any gaps that needed to be filled in the information, and also analyze the different variable relationships and see if there was any particular variables that were significant. After doing this, we looked at the following machine logs in order to do the exploratory analysis. The first was the job dispatch list, which is ASAP data that they already had. And then we had freezer data, Gerber and Cutter, and Vertec outputs. Those are the machines that we had access to throughout the process. After we had understood the data, got to know it, it was important to link all 5 of the data sets, as has been mentioned previously, in order to really get an understanding of the production process from the beginning to the end. And this is where we ran into some challenges. The first challenge was that there was a lack of connecting fields at the first look. all of the different data sets were from different machines that have completely different purposes. And this led to inconsistent format, which made it very difficult to find a variable that they had in common, which could be used to track the production process from beginning to end. Additionally to this, there was some sensitive data in there that needed to be scrambled. So this just meant that we had to be extra meticulous in choosing the variables that were important. I won't go too much into it though. I'm going to pass it over to Billy to talk about how we got to merge the data.
Thank you very much. So step one with this process was parsing the data. And this was a very big step for us. We had 4 different machine logs that we had to parse data for. The first 2, JDL and freezer, were actually pretty simple. It was just a normal CSV at one point, but there was stuff at the top that we needed to extract as well. The next 2 were awful to parse. It was terrible. It was so difficult. They weren't CSVs at all, just random text logs that didn't have any sort of consistency. So we had to create a really dynamic parser to extract all of the data for each of these different machine logs. This is our end data structure, and it took us a really long time to get to this, mainly because, like Asher said, part was the main connecting field, but we didn't see that. Part was different across all the different machine logs, and it was stored in different ways. So we had to talk with our sponsor and eventually figure out that we had to narrow this down and shorten it, make it so it was consistent across every single machine log. But it took a really long time to figure out that this was the connecting field. With our tool, this is some of the attainable analysis that we're excited the client can now perform. First is idle time in machine. You can look at different work packages in each different machine and figure out how long is it just sitting there, not really doing anything. Next is time in machine. And this can just show them on a number basis how long each part is staying in each machine. Percent late is another one. It's just an overview of, I guess, how well their production process is running. And lastly is match rate, which is something that we perform on our own end to make sure all of the data is matching up consistently. This is an example of timeline tracking. I mentioned work packages. I'm going to kind of fly through this. I don't want to take too long, but you can see where it enters freezer, how it gets to Gerber, how long it takes to Vertec, and then you can see how much idle time is in each machine, along with a number of other factors. This is another sample output that we're excited to provide, which is production timeline. They already have a production timeline with their SAP data, but this allows you to dive in and see which jobs are taking longer in which specific machine. These were our recommendations to them. So starting off, we recommended that they tracked production ID, because if they had just done that, then we wouldn't have had the whole mess of finding the connecting fields and working through all of this other stuff that took a lot of time. So with that, we recommended that they maintain consistency, because we do have data parsers that are integral to the success of our entire, I guess, solution. So if any of those formats started shifting up completely, then I guess our solution wouldn't perform as well. So we recommended consistency. And then we recommended that they host this data on their client-side server where they could perform any analysis that they needed. With that, I'm going to pass it off to Meredith to talk about the program a little bit.
All right, thank you so much. So just to conclude the presentation, first, I'd like to give a special thank you and shout out to a lot of people that have helped us with this project. In the beginning, we kind of explained that Dr. Onar Sharaf, our faculty sponsor, was an extreme amount of help. He came with us monthly and weekly to help us try to figure out this data. Also, we would like to give a big shout out to Boeing Awara for also helping us and giving us our time. Our sponsor, Devin, met with us weekly and worked with us to help us figure out this solution. Also, we would like to thank Dr. Linda Christie and Jay Winkler as well for helping us and trialing us and sitting with us and practicing and figuring out the hand movements that we needed to do for our presentation, all the crazy things, understanding the things. So, but overall, this program for us was honestly gave us a great impact in our lives. We were able to get diverse learning opportunities, network with a lot of different people that we would never networked with before. And we were able to learn a lot throughout this project and gain really great industry experience. And with that, we just really wanted to thank everyone also in Cohort 6 for us as well. We definitely give you guys a thanks as well. Does anyone have any questions?